All right, here is your two-digit dividends divided by one divisor homework. We said that we would record D, E, F, G, and H. So down here, take notice, is your does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? So you can help remember the steps. So we'll just go through this. If you're doing this with me, remember you can pause to slow things down. If you've already done it and just want to check, you can always move that search bar over and speed things up and just make sure your work is correct. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go sort of fast, knowing that you can pause it if you need. All right, so first thing, move one box over. We should have does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw. That's our acronym to know how to solve long division. All right, D is determine. Make sure you're tapping. 8 times what gets me close to 8 without going over. And so we check off determine. Okay. Next is multiply, after we determine that 1 is the best option because 8 times 2 goes over 8. And then we're going to multiply 8 times 1. I'm going to put a little time symbol. 8 times 1 equals 8. And next is subtract. So right now we've shared these 8 with 8 kids, and we've determined that since each one has 1 in their hand, we have 0 of these 10 packs of Smarties left over. Okay. All right, so now we check and make sure the king is happy. This needs to be less than the 8, and it is. And now we're going to bring down the 5 and box. This tells us how many we have left to divide up. This is sort of dead to us now. We're done using that. We've already split it up. And here's what we have left over sort of on a tray, ready to be divided up. And now repeat or remainder. We know that we're repeating this process because there's still a spot left in the quotient. So going back up to determine. Determine 8 times what gets me close to 5 without going over. So 8 times 1 is 8, so that goes over, so it has to be 8 times 0. Multiply, 8 times 0 is 0. Subtract, 5 minus 0 is 5. Check, is the king happy? 5 is less than 8, so we're good. Bring down, there's nothing to bring down, but we are going to box. And now we know that this is the remainder because there's no spots left in the quotient, so we draw a nice straight arrow going right up, and we have a remainder of 5. Okay, Mr. Pete's going to do letter E for you. We'll go back and forth.
All right, here we go. First things first. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? Yes, we do it too. Make sure you're checking everything off. All right, same thing as always. We're starting off with our divisor. 3 goes into what? 3 goes into...
Determine.
So we're going to determine, we're going to ask the question. 3 goes into 6 how many times? It goes into 6 2 times. All right, we're going to multiply that, so we've determined, and make sure you're doing your tapping. 3 times 2 equals 6. And check that off. Now we're going to subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. Nice and easy. I love it when we get zeros, and so does our divisor. Our king is happy, so we can check that off. But he's only happy for a second because we still have a number left in our divisor. We still have that spot in our quotient. So we are going to bring down the 8. And we are going to box it, and now our tray is full. We have 8 in our tray. Our king is no longer happy now, and we still have that spot open. So we are going to, while we do have a remainder, we still have to repeat. So we start over, all right? 3 times what gets me close to 8 without going over? I know that 3 times 2 gets me close because 3 times 3 is 9. That's a little bit over. So 3 times 2 gets me close to 8. 3 times 2, remember we're tapping. Look at all those little pen marks. 3 times 2 equals 6. Multiplied, and now I subtract. 8 minus 6 equals 2. I check. My 2 is less than my divisor. My king is happy. I don't have anything left to bring down, so I box my remainder. You just heard me say remainder. I can't repeat because there's nothing left in the quotient. And I bring my remainder up. Make sure it's right next to that number. I put it a little bit above the line so that you know that my quotient is 22 in each group, and my remainder is 2. Back to Mr. Hutch.
All right, so next problem. Letter F, here we go. One chunk over here. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? So here we go. First step is determining, looking at the tens place. Determine 7 times what gets me close to 7 without going over. I'm determining that that's 1. Now we're on to multiply. There's your little multiplication symbol. Multiply 7 times 1 equals 7. Continue tapping. Now we're on to subtract. 7 minus 7 equals 0. Check. Is the king happy? Yes, this is less than that. Bring down the 1 and box. This is the new amount on our tray to divide up. This is dead to us. And we're going to repeat because we have a spot in the quotient. Moving on to the next round. Determine 7 times what gets me close to 1 without going over. Well, nothing, because 7 times 1 is 7. Multiply. 7 times 0 is 0. Subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Check. The king is happy. Bring down. There's nothing else left over to bring down. So we're just going to bring down and box. And we know we're done because there's no spots left in the quotient. So our remainder goes up. And we have a remainder of 1. So 71 divided by 7 is 10 with 1 remaining. Back to Mr. Pete.
On to the next. Of course, we don't want to forget. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? Fits perfectly. All right. We're going to determine 6 times what gets me close to 7 without going over. That's a nice and easy one. 6 times 1. We're going to make sure to tap. Make those pen marks. 6 times 1 equals 6. There's my multiplication. Now I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 6 equals 1. Nice and easy. Notice it's staying in that one straight line. All right. Now I'm going to check, is my divisor, is my king happy? 1 is less than 6. I'm good to go. And now I bring down my 4. And I box my 14 to fill up my tray. So I've brought down and boxed. You can see that now this is bigger than the king. You can see that there's a spot in the quotient. So I do have to repeat. There is a remainder, but since it's bigger than that divisor, I have to keep on going. So we're repeating, all right? 6 times what? Now remember, this is dead to me. 6 times what gets me close to 14 without going over? That's 2. So I've determined that 6 times 2 gets me close to 14. That's 12. 6 times 3 is 18. That's over 14. So we get to the multiplication. Make sure I see the tapping. 6 times 2 equals 12. I know I subtract next. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. I check. What I have left is less than my divisor. I don't have anything left in my dividend to bring down. I don't have anything left in my quotient. So I cannot bring down, but I do box my remainder. I do have a remainder. My remainder is 2. I can't repeat. Like I said, there's nothing left in the quotient. Boom, bring up my remainder. Again, a little bit above the line. Remainder of 2. 74 total, 6 groups, 12 in each group. And Mr. Hutch is going to do the hardest one
Last
ever.
one, 999. All right, so 99 divided by 9, we have, let's see where we'll put this. Maybe right here. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? All right, so going through our steps. Determine 9 times what gets me close to 9 without going over. 9 times 1 is 9. Multiply, little multiplication symbol. 9 times 1 equals 9. Subtract. 9 minus 9 is 0. Check. This is less than the divisor, so the king is happy. Bring down our leftover 1s and box. So now this is dead to us. We only have 9 left to divide up. And we're going to repeat because there's a spot left in the quotient, and you can see this is not less than the divisor, so we can split it up more. All right, so here we go. Repeating. Determine 9 times what gets me close to 9. Again, 1. Multiply it out. 9 times 1 means we gave out 9 more. Subtract to find out what's left. 9 minus 9 is 0. Check. The king is happy. Bring down. There's nothing to bring down, but we will box our remainder. And we know this is a remainder because there's no more spots left in the quotient, so we have a remainder of 0. And that is your long division homework.